Alright guys, it is Mark R. Us and we are back with another CV video, and in this one we are going to talk about the top 10 tips for beginners if you're starting out in a CV.
Good luck, everyone.
I could have titled this top 10 things that make me rage when I don't see it being done, but that's not really conducive to a learning experience, is it? So, number 10, stay in tier 4 and 6. So I made this mistake, and I'm going to try and save you from that frustration.
Stay here. Stay as long as you can. For the love of God, cherish it.
Jennifer, why don't you try reading out loud for a minute, okay?
The truth is, AA and Flak scale just as well, if not better, than your plain health and speed. There is much less room for error at the higher tiers, and getting there quickly is not going to help you learn the game. So if you're struggling right now at tier 10 or 8, I highly recommend that you drop down to tier 6 for just a bit so you can get back to the basics and fix core issues in your gameplay. And for God's sakes, please don't buy any of the resource or doubloon carriers until you've played tier 6 and have good experience there. Number 9, access resources. There is a huge, and I do mean huge, library of CV resources for you. You have the wiki page that describes everything along with all the mechanics, and it's been recently updated to include some tips on what to do. Highly recommend you bookmark that. Moreover, you actually found the best YouTube page out there, baby. Best high quality content for CV gameplay. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, there's so many YouTubers out there and so many articles and so many live streamers. There's really no excuse for not knowing how a CV operates or learning the controls properly. You also have the official Discord channel where you can ask questions on there. You can drop your replays in a Discord and share that to whoever you found to review it. You know, ask for help, and that'll accelerate your learning much more quickly. And I gotta stress that one again. Upload replays when you're asking for advice somewhere. That way people can see what's going on and what you're doing, and that'll help you better.
Help me.
Number 8, commander skills. There are a lot of different commander skills, and they're actually gonna get reworked a bit more after the changes come for CVs in 2024 potentially. That said, the core essential ones at this time are air supremacy, improved engines, aircraft armor, and survivability expert. All the other skills get more specialized based off what you're trying to build out and what type of carrier you're running. A huge note is, as of February 2024, Hidden Menace, the 4-point captain skill, is still shit. So don't consider that one at all. It's actually considered bugged by the community. So as long as you take the other ones I mentioned, you have a good starting point for a build. Number 7, spotting and fighters. This game largely revolves around detectability of your ship, and a lot of ships rely on that. Consider saving your fighters for spotting ships that could go dark and abuse them instead of protecting your allied ships. There are exceptions because not all CV fighters are the same. Some are actually terrible at spotting. But by and large, the classic carriers all have the 9 standard fighters that you can do great spotting for your team. After all, you help your team by keeping enemy ships lit so they can get focused out. Moreover, on fighters, spend time to understand how they operate. Because there's so many little tidbits about them, you should understand it all. There's a delayed response from fighters from shooting planes. A big reason they stopped shooting is because the last attack group in a squadron dropped its ordnance. So try to understand all these different reaction times, especially because I hate seeing beginners or novice CV players drop a fighter right on top of their allied ship or battleship, expecting that it's going to latch on and shoot down the enemy planes. But they end up not shooting or not having enough time to latch on. Place those things wisely if you're going to try and defend an ally. and try to drop them just outside AA range of enemy ships. Lastly, fighters do not absorb AA for your squadron that you're controlling. Do not drop fighters on top of an enemy ship that is actively able to shoot down those planes. It does not reduce the AA you take, so please stop that mentality. Number 6, be patient. I've seen too many times where people will rush out their attack or not line up properly, and it just kills me. German rockets need perfect alignment to get that citadel damage. Most dive bombers want to be attacking from bow to stern or stern to bow, so line up that reticle correctly. Take that extra 4 seconds of flying to get a good angle on that enemy ship if he's actively trying to avoid you. You flew out there to target these guys, so make sure to make it count. Number 5, plane management. Try to actively rotate through your plane squadrons so that you don't run out of one group right away. If you need to finish off a target with that particular type and it's the best one, then by all means, go ahead and do it. But generally speaking, you want to rotate through your squadrons so that you can keep the restoration clock going and that plane type is not just sitting there with full squadrons ready to go. This especially holds true for the super ships and support lines that are coming out, with their restoration times being their cooldown times. So just keep those clocks running. Number 4, target selection. This is a huge one. There's a lot of things that weigh in on target selection. The most basic first thing is what type of planes are you flying with. You generally don't want to take AP rockets out against a heavy cruiser. You don't want to use AP dive bombers on a destroyer. You get it? Use the right plane type for whatever you're trying to target. As far as target selection goes, the rule of thumb is not to target ships in large groups. You also generally want to target ships that are alone, closest to you, low health, unable to turn away and run due to terrain or a potential broadside they give to your teammates, ships that have bad AA, and ships that are doing something like spotting or flanking, keeping your team from moving up, capping, important things like that. Target selection is huge, and this is a big reason why people lose a lot of their planes, because they don't know what the hell they're doing. So if you're losing planes or not causing damage, it's most likely because you're not choosing targets correctly. Number 3, understand AA. Now, this one goes hand in hand with number 4. You want to make sure that you understand how AA works. There's continuous damage, where there's different rings around ships, and generally the closer you get to the center, the generally more powerful it is. And then you also have flak, which are black clouds that spawn in front of you. Understand how flak works, because that is the biggest one that could be a pain for you. You do not dodge flak. You control flak. It is an automated, systematic roadblock that pops up based off your current heading and your current speed. So if you're driving in a straight line at the target, the flak is going to spawn directly in front of you. The best solutions are to zigzag back and forth, timing it correctly according to when the AA flak spawns. Another method is to attack targets in a semicircle so that the flak is always spawning out of your way, because it took into account which direction your planes were going when it was fired from that ship. Once you figure this out, you're going to have a lot more planes available to you into the late game. It is absolutely critical, so keep practicing at tier 6 against flak clouds and you'll be set up for success at the later tiers. Number 2, think of ship positioning. This is probably the biggest pet peeve of mine for beginner gameplay. At the beginning of a battle, you should never be making a beeline for the corner, or for tier 4 and 6, pressing the S button. Please stop doing that. You want to find opportunities to reduce your flight time because you're doing 0 damage when you're traveling. You might say, oh Merc, I want to stay safe and I don't want to get hit. Okay, at the beginning of the match, the only thing that can hit you is the enemy CV, and it's going to cost him to do it. Now, tier 8 and 10, it's a little different. You should be looking at the enemy lineup and consider what you're facing. Are there Musashis over there? Yamatos? Vermonts? If you see those ships divvied up with a carrier, they're most likely coming for you. You also want to think about which carrier you're fighting. If it's a Colossus or a German carrier, there's a chance that they'll come after you. So stay sharp. The point is, try to figure out what side of the map you're generally going to operate on and get to that side. And always consider changing it based off what's happening in the match. Number 1. Stay aware. A lot of people complain that carriers have the ability to target anywhere on the map and that there's no hiding from them, etc. While that's true, they often don't think about what that additionally means. Because you're able to fly anywhere, because you're able to provide spotting or damage at any point on the map, you have a bit more influence on your team winning or losing.
I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom.
Stay aware of what's happening and look at your map as often as you can when you're taking off with a new flight. Have all the torpedo destroyers been spotted? Do you know where they are?
Jesus titty fucking.
Where would I have the most impact based off the number of ships we have on one flank versus the enemy? Again, you should be looking at that map very frequently and make it part of your routine so that you're never caught by surprise. The biggest aspect of this is staying aware and not getting surprised by torpedoes into your broadside. You are alerted when your ship is detected, and it specifically tells you if it's by a plane or by a ship. If your ship is detected by an enemy ship, you should probably be using your plane's detection radius to triangulate and find where that enemy ship could be. You should also be moving. Don't ignore it, because without a CV in the late game, your team is at a huge disadvantage. So don't get surprised by these torpedo destroyers that wasted time trying to hunt you. What do you guys think of this list? There's a lot of other tips, but I think these are the core ones that all beginner players should know to take their game from being bad or below average to being maybe average or even good. More content definitely on the way, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys next time. GG!